It happens the moment you lie down. The room goes quiet, the phone goes dark, and just as your body finally stops, your mind turns the volume all the way up. All day you waited for this stillness. Now that it's here, it's the loudest place you know. You're not imagining it. The noise is real. It just wasn't able to reach you until everything else got out of the way. Think about your day, the messages, the small talk, the tasks, the screen in your hand. All of it was pulling at your attention, one piece at a time. There was no room left over to think. There was barely room left over to feel. Your mind was never quiet during the day. It was just busy, occupied, pointed outward at the next thing and the next. And then night comes. The demands fall away, and your attention, with nowhere left to go, finally turns back toward you. This is the part most people get wrong. They think the silence created the thoughts. It didn't. The silence only let you hear them. Those thoughts were running the whole time. The replay of that conversation. The thing you should have said. The worry you've been carrying for weeks. They didn't appear at midnight. They were always there, underneath, waiting for a gap. And here's what happens in that gap. When the world stops feeding your mind starts feeding itself. It reaches for the unfinished things, the open loops, the questions you never got to close. It's not trying to torture you. It's trying to solve you. It's looking for the thing that still feels unresolved, and it keeps circling back, hoping that this time you'll finally figure it out. But here's why it rarely works at night. At 2 a.m, you have all of the feeling and none of the tools. The part of you that solves problems is exhausted. The part of you that feels them is wide awake. So the same thought just loops. The same scene replays. You rehearse a conversation that already happened, as if saying it better now could change anything. And each time around, it gets a little heavier, and it moves nowhere. You're not thinking. You're stirring. And stirring something doesn't empty it. It just keeps it from settling. And maybe you already know this. The thought that feels enormous at 2 a.m. often looks almost ordinary by the time the light comes back. Nothing about it actually changed. Only the hour did. The problem didn't grow overnight. Your defenses just fell asleep a little before you did. At night, there's nothing left standing between you and the feeling. No task, no noise, no version of you to keep up. Just you and whatever you didn't have time to hold during the day. And it isn't only thoughts. Notice where you feel it. The tight chest, the jaw you didn't know you were clenching, the restlessness in your legs. The day asked you to ignore all of that, to push it down and keep going. So it waited. And now, in the quiet, your body is finally allowed to say what it felt hours ago. There's something else here too. Something softer. For a lot of people, the noise at night isn't really about problems. It's about contact. It's the first time all day you've actually been alone with yourself. And if you spent the whole day being who everyone needed you to be, that meeting can feel strange. Almost like running into someone you've been quietly avoiding. So the mind gets loud, partly because it finally has your attention, and it has a lot it's been waiting to say. And this is where it gets quiet in a different way. Because you start to notice something. The loudest nights usually follow the days where you were the most absent from yourself. The days you performed. The days you swallowed what you felt just to get through. The mind doesn't lose any of that. It holds it. And when you finally lie still, it hands it all back and asks to be felt. Most of us were taught to treat this as a malfunction, something to silence. So we reach for the phone again. We pour the noise back in. We give the mind something else to chew on, so it stops chewing on us. And it works for a while. But the thoughts don't leave. They just wait for the next gap. So here's the turn. The quiet isn't the problem. The quiet is the invitation. That loudness is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It's a sign that something inside you has been waiting to be heard, and it finally trusts the silence enough to speak. You don't have to solve it tonight. You don't have to win the argument with your own head. You only have to stop treating the noise like an enemy. Try this instead. When the thoughts come, don't grab them and don't run from them. Just notice them. Name them, almost gently. That's the worry again. That's the conversation again. That's the tightness in my chest. You're not feeding the loop. You're letting it know you heard it. And a thought that feels heard gets quieter. Not because you defeated it, but because it finally landed somewhere. Then come back to your breath. One slow breath, and then the next. Not to force the quiet, but to give yourself something steady to stand on while the noise crests. Because it does crest. That's the part you forget in the middle of it. The noise always rises, and then, if you let it, it softens. This is the strange gift of solitude. It's the one place honest enough to show you what you've been carrying. The people who learn to sit in it aren't stronger than you. They just stopped fighting the first 10 minutes. They let the mind say its piece, and they learned that the wave always passes. Because the quiet was never trying to hurt you. It was just the only time you ever gave yourself permission to listen. So tonight, when the room goes still and your mind gets loud, remember what that really is. It's not the silence breaking you. It's you, finally getting a word in.